Embedded deep inside a piece of solid limestone, dating back millions of years, sits a purely manufactured iron hammer that fundamentally breaks the timeline of human evolution. Miners working in Texas shattered a natural rock concretion, only to find this modern metal tool completely fused within an ancient geological stratum. The timeline, we are taught, insists this level of metallurgical refinement did not exist until recent centuries, yet the physical evidence locked in stone suggests a highly industrialized presence walked the earth long before recorded history began. Join us and let's discover the ancient artifacts that completely break human history. Let's go.
Topic number 13. London Hammer. Shattering a natural limestone concretion in Texas revealed a perfectly intact metal hammer embedded within rock that took millions of years to form. The head of this tool consists of almost entirely pure iron, a level of metallurgical refinement that requires modern industrial smelting facilities to produce without elemental contamination. Even more alarming to geologists and metallurgists, the iron displays absolutely zero signs of oxidation or rust despite decades of exposure to the elements. A portion of its wooden handle has entirely carbonized into solid coal, a physical transformation that requires extreme geological pressure and massive amounts of time. Conventional science desperately argues that dissolved minerals rapidly calcified around a discarded pioneer tool over just a few decades, dismissing the surrounding ancient limestone stratum as a massive chemical fluke. Yet the total absence of carbon in the iron head defies known 19th century manufacturing methods, pointing to a highly advanced alloy production process that does not match any accepted human historical record. If a single metal tool of this staggering quality was left behind by an unknown industrial presence, the true scale of what remains hidden beneath the dirt defies comprehension. We do not have to dig very deep into the past to find civilizations experimenting with complex physics and aerodynamic mastery long before the combustion engine was ever conceived.
Topic number 12. Kimbaya artifacts. Gleaming under museum lights in Colombia are dozens of solid gold figures featuring vertical tail fins, perfectly horizontal delta wings, and aerodynamic fuselages that look identical to modern military fighter jets. The indigenous Kimbaya civilization produced these golden enigmas centuries ago, utilizing sophisticated metallurgical techniques to cast shapes they supposedly had no mathematical framework to understand. Aviation engineers tested exact scale models of these specific geometries in wind tunnels, discovering that their aerodynamic properties were highly optimized for sustained flight and massive lift. The precision of the delta wings suggests an intimate understanding of airflow, fluid dynamics, and high-speed drag reduction, concepts that Orthodox history insists were entirely unknown to pre-Columbian societies across the Americas. Scholars immediately dismiss the aerospace similarities as pure coincidence, categorizing the artifacts as stylized birds or insects created through religious artistic expression. But insects do not possess rigid, upright tail stabilizers, and birds do not have swept-back wing structures designed to cut through the air at supersonic velocities. The undeniable mechanical reality of these golden models points to an ancient observation of advanced aerial technology, hinting that the sky was not empty in the ancient past. And the evidence of impossible engineering rapidly extends far beyond the realm of atmospheric flight, leaving behind physical cuts in solid matter that completely shatter our understanding of primitive tools.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Topic number 11. Sabu disc.
Carved entirely from a single block of highly fragile schist rock, an object sits in the Cairo Museum that perfectly mirrors the impeller wheel of a modern centrifugal water pump. Discovered in a subterranean tomb dating to 3,000 years before Christ, this tri-lobed bowl features a delicate central hub and 3 curving blades that taper to edges thinner than a modern piece of cardboard. Schist is an incredibly brittle material, prone to shattering instantly if struck with the rudimentary copper chisels or crude stone hammers available to the first Egyptian dynasties. Recreating this exact aerodynamic geometry today requires computer-controlled multi-axis milling machines, yet this artifact was somehow shaped in the Bronze Age without a single mistake. Engineers who analyze the geometry note its perfect hydraulic efficiency, specifically designed to move liquid or gas rapidly without causing structural cavitation or mechanical failure. Mainstream Egyptologists blindly label it a simple decorative vase for holding lotus flowers, entirely ignoring the extreme difficulty of its manufacturing process and its highly functional industrial design. No other object like it has ever been found in the sands of Egypt, standing as an isolated technological anomaly in a vast sea of simple clay pots. Whoever possessed the capacity to machine brittle stone into functional fluid dynamic components did not stop there, leaving behind even heavier evidence of high-speed rotary machinery in the Far East.
Topic number 10. Kong tubes. Staring through the glass at the British Museum, observers find themselves looking at geometric precision that physically should not exist in the year 3400 BC. The ancient Chinese culture of Liangzhu produced heavy cylindrical artifacts known as Kong tubes, featuring a perfectly circular core surrounded by a sharply squared outer body. These massive objects were cut from nephrite jade, a stone so densely packed and incredibly hard that it sits just below diamond on the Mohs hardness scale. Modern archaeologists insist these primitive people used wet sand and bamboo string to slowly wear away the material over months of grueling labor. But a closer inspection of the interior walls reveals extremely tight uniform drill marks that point directly to automated high-speed rotary machining, not the erratic friction of hand-pulled rope. When researchers attempted to replicate the cutting process using bamboo and abrasives, the resulting grooves were thick, sloppy, and fundamentally different from the microscopic precision seen on the genuine ancient artifacts. It appears as though the Liangzhu people inherited these impossibly machined stones from an older, far more capable source, later attempting to claim ownership of the advanced technology. The primitive scratches they added over the original carvings only highlight a vast gap between those who found the jade and those who originally cut it. The capacity to bend matter to their will is also found deep underground.
Topic number 9. Dorchester pot. Blasted out of solid conglomerate rock in Massachusetts, a bell-shaped metallic vessel emerged from a geological layer that formed hundreds of millions of years before dinosaurs existed. The small object is composed of a complex zinc and silver alloy, featuring exquisite floral inlay designs completely embedded within its metallic surface. Workers using dynamite to clear stone for a meeting house in the year 1852 shattered the ancient bedrock, only to find this manufactured pot physically encased within a solid block of stone. The geological stratum where the object rested is definitively dated to the Ediacaran period, a time when the only living organisms on Earth were microscopic single-celled life forms floating in primordial oceans. Metallurgical analysis reveals that the zinc alloy requires high heat smelting and advanced chemical extraction techniques to achieve its specific elemental purity. The sheer impossibility of a beautifully crafted silver-inlaid vessel existing within 500 million-year-old rock forces a complete re-evaluation of the accepted historical timeline. The artifact suggests that an advanced civilization walked the Earth, manufactured complex alloys, and completely vanished long before the first mammals ever evolved. While physical objects trapped in ancient stone prove a localized industrial presence,
The evidence of their global reach is drawn on impossibly accurate parchment maps that chart a world we are only beginning to rediscover.
Topic number 8. Piri-Reis map. Drawn meticulously on a gazelle skin parchment, a 16th century map accurately depicts the subglacial topography of Antarctica centuries before the continent was ever discovered. Compiled by an Ottoman admiral in 1513, the document charts the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and a massive landmass at the bottom of the globe completely free of glacial ice. Core samples taken by modern geological expeditions confirmed that the jagged coastline precisely matches the solid bedrock of Antarctica, a landscape that has been buried under a mile of solid ice for at least 6,000 years. The admiral explicitly wrote in his own margins that he did not survey the lands himself, but merely copied the mathematical data from far older source maps dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. To accurately map an ice-free Antarctica with longitudinal precision requires an advanced understanding of spherical trigonometry and global aerial projection that supposedly did not exist in antiquity. The existence of this specific document proves that a highly advanced maritime civilization charted the entire globe from the sky thousands of years before the first European galleons ever set sail. But accurately navigating the planet requires a completely different level of technological sophistication than what was recently found entirely crystallized inside raw geological formations from 500,000 years ago. Topic number 7. Coso artifact. Crack open a solid rock geode from the California desert and you will find a modern mechanical spark plug encased in stone that took 500,000 years to form. Discovered by prospectors hunting for semi-precious gems, the hardened nodule was sliced open with a diamond saw to reveal a porcelain cylinder containing a magnetic steel shaft and a coiled copper wire. X-ray scans of the embedded object display the exact internal schematic of a contemporary combustion engine igniter, complete with a tiny spring and precise metallic casing. The terrifying reality is that geodes require immense amounts of time and specific geological conditions to slowly accrete around an object, meaning this mechanical component was dropped into the dirt 500,000 years before the invention of the wheel. The ceramic insulator possesses a hardness that destroys modern steel cutting blades, and the copper wiring shows absolutely zero signs of organic decay or natural elemental breakdown. History claims humanity was barely learning how to strike flint together during this era, yet this undeniable artifact proves someone was manufacturing high-voltage electrical components in the middle of the Pleistocene epoch. The sudden introduction of advanced electrical engineering into the ancient past completely recontextualizes the massive, bizarre stone carvings hidden in the deepest, most suffocating crypts of the ancient world.
Topic number 6. Dendera Light. Carved into the subterranean wall of the Hathor temple crypts is a massive, transparent, bulbous tube containing a snake resting perfectly in the shape of a vibrating filament. The stem of this glass-like bubble is attached to a lotus flower, acting as a receptacle, from which a braided cable snakes away into a square box resembling a modern electrical generator. Propping up the entire apparatus is the Jade pillar, an ancient symbol of stability that functions exactly like a high-voltage ceramic insulator found on modern power lines. Orthodox Egyptologists stubbornly maintain that this is purely mythological iconography, a metaphorical depiction of a snake god emerging from a flower, completely dismissing the blindingly obvious mechanical components. Yet engineers looking at the exact same relief immediately recognize the precise schematic of a Crookes tube, an early cathode ray device used to emit electrical light. The realization that ancient builders possessed artificial lighting explains how they painted vast underground tomb networks with flawless precision without leaving a single trace of soot from fire torches on the ceilings. The undeniable evidence of ancient power generation is compelling,
but the precision tools required to actually build and calibrate these devices point to a mastery of optical physics that conventional history absolutely refuses to accept.
Topic number 5. Nimrud lens. Excavated from the ruins of an ancient Assyrian palace, a piece of rock crystal was perfectly ground into a focal lens 3 millennia before the invention of the telescope. The artifact is a flawless piece of polished quartz, shaped with a precise convex geometry that creates a focal point capable of magnifying objects or concentrating intense beams of sunlight. Creating an optical instrument of this exact curvature requires abrasive machinery and a deep mathematical understanding of light refraction, skills that Orthodox historians claim did not exist in the 8th century before Christ. Scientists studying the artifact note that its specific toroidal shape corrects for spherical aberration, a complex optical adjustment that prevents the magnified image from distorting at the edges. This level of microscopic precision strongly suggests the Assyrians were using advanced lenses to engrave the incredibly tiny, intricate cuneiform texts found on their clay seals, or perhaps even observing the cosmos. A civilization capable of manufacturing this level of optical technology possessed the necessary tools to view the universe on both a microscopic and macroscopic scale long before modern science. Yet this incredibly delicate mastery over glass and light stands in stark contrast to the brutal industrialized excavation projects that systematically gouged entire survival metropolises directly into the deep layers of the Earth's crust.
Topic number 4. Derinkuyu. Extending 18 stories into the earth beneath the dusty plains of Turkey is a subterranean metropolis capable of housing 20,000 people, along with their livestock and supplies. Discovered entirely by accident when a local man knocked down a basement wall, this massive labyrinth features miles of complex ventilation shafts, heavy stone rolling doors, and independent freshwater wells. Excavating this colossal volume of volcanic rock would require moving millions of cubic feet of material, an industrial-scale operation orchestrated with flawless structural engineering to prevent catastrophic cave-ins. The official timeline states it was carved by primitive farmers in the 8th century as a temporary shelter from invading armies, a narrative that vastly underestimates the required logistics and airflow mathematics. The layout implies an advanced understanding of fluid dynamics, ensuring that thousands of torches and human lungs did not consume the limited oxygen at the bottom levels. But the most disturbing aspect of this underground fortress is that the heavy stone doors only lock from the inside, proving it was a massive fallout shelter designed to protect a localized population from a sudden surface-level extinction event. Whatever apocalyptic catastrophe forced them underground completely shattered the surface world, leaving behind scattered stone ruins that look exactly like they were obliterated by advanced divine weapons.
Topic number 3. Puma Punku. Scattered violently across a high-altitude plateau in Bolivia are the shattered remains of what looks like a prefabricated industrial facility blasted into thousands of pieces. The ruins consist of massive andesite and diorite stones, materials so dense they require modern diamond-tipped saws to cut efficiently. Yet they are carved with razor-sharp inside corners and perfectly drilled holes. The most baffling components are the legendary H-blocks, identical modular stones featuring complex interlocking grooves that look exactly like machined parts meant to snap together on a massive assembly line. Modern stonemasons analyze the perfectly straight laser-like cuts and are completely at a loss to explain how Bronze Age tools could achieve such microscopic tolerances without fracturing the brittle rock. The site does not look like it slowly decayed over time. It looks as if it was obliterated by a massive, instantaneous kinetic force that tossed 100-ton stone blocks like children's toys.
The mathematical precision of the prefabricated blocks strongly indicates a highly industrial society capable of mass-producing modular architecture on a globally massive scale. But as impossible as these modular cuts are, the sheer thermal power required to melt and manipulate other gigantic stones in South America pushes the historical narrative entirely out of the realm of accepted human capability and into something far more dangerous.
Topic number 2. Sacsayhuaman. High in the Andes sits a fortress constructed of massive limestone boulders, some weighing well over 100 tons, fitted together with a locking precision that defies all physical logic. The stones of this megalithic puzzle are cut with irregular, multi-angled faces that interlock so tightly that a single sheet of paper cannot be wedged between their massive seams. There is no mortar holding this colossal structure together, only the sheer perfection of the stone masonry, which has effortlessly survived centuries of devastating regional earthquakes. The Inca people explicitly told the conquering Spanish chroniclers that they did not build this fortress, stating that it was already ancient and abandoned when their empire first arrived in the mountains. Examining the massive blocks reveals extreme heat vitrification on the edges, suggesting the rock was not chiseled by hand, but rather melted and molded into place using a thermal technology capable of liquefying solid granite. Mainstream historians completely ignore the indigenous testimony, desperately attributing the impossible engineering to Bronze Age farmers dragging rocks with weak ropes. The willful blindness to this terrifying thermal stone-cutting technology hides an even darker secret found on the other side of the planet, a massive industrial complex specifically designed to pump unknown chemicals into the dark, barren depths of a prehistoric mountain.
Deep inside a pyramidal mountain in the Qinghai province of China lies a massive network of oxidized iron pipes that pierce directly through the solid bedrock. These heavy metallic tubes form a complex plumbing system, crisscrossing the cavern walls and plunging deep into the salty waters of a nearby desolate lake. Geological dating of the surrounding material points to these structures being forged and placed roughly 150,000 years ago, an era when human beings were barely learning how to control fire. Metallurgical analysis reveals that the iron contains 8% of completely unidentifiable chemical compounds, making the alloy impossible to classify within any known human manufacturing database. The entire structure displays the exact architectural layout of a prehistoric chemical plant or a massive industrial cooling system operating millennia before the invention of the wheel. Orthodox scientists frantically scrambled to classify the perfectly cylindrical iron tubes as fossilized tree roots, completely ignoring the extreme levels of radiation emitting from the metal and the complex geometric junctions connecting the pipes. This silent, rusting machinery stands as the ultimate undeniable proof that humanity inherited a used planet. An advanced, highly industrialized civilization mastered the Earth, stripped its resources, and vanished into the dark, leaving us to slowly dig up the scattered pieces of their broken world.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.